Plymouth Bay is spookier than Sleepy Hollow. Hello there! I am so excited for these October videos this year. I'm so excited to tell you all about this author I discovered that I am calling the Edgar Allan Poe of Plymouth Bay. So I discovered a whole bunch of stories back in August, and I have been researching them. They're all take place locally, all here in Plymouth Bay, and they were all written by a local author named Joseph R. Chandler, Joseph Ripley Chandler, who was born on August 22nd, 1792. And he grew up in Kingston, spent his whole childhood there, and as a young man moved up to Boston, and then in 1815 he moved on to Philadelphia. Hello there. What was I going to say? I forgot what I was going to say. You made me forget. No. Alright. Someone wants to be in the video. As I was saying, he moved to Philadelphia in 1815. Now, he wrote just a handful of stories, probably about half a dozen stories that I could find anyways. And they all take place in either Duxbury, Kingston, or Plymouth, and they're all from his boyhood memories, but they are all spooky tales. Spooky local tales. So I was pretty excited, and just decided to focus on those this October. So every week, probably Friday nights, but possibly Saturday nights, check back for the next spooky tale. Subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss a single tale, or like the Facebook page, you know, whatever. So all his tales, they cover all different types of topics: divination, witches, vampires, haunted marshes, fairy-like creatures, selling your soul to the devil. Lots of good stuff. So I'm really excited for these stories because I don't think you've probably heard them, or many of them anyways. And I was having a hard time really finding... So he wrote these stories, and he presented them as fact. So he wrote these stories, and he presented them as fact, but as the beliefs of the locals. So whether the supernatural elements were true or not, we don't know. But this is what the locals believed about certain events. And I was able to track down, I believe, most of the locations. But the people I've been having a hard time with. I think he used a lot of aliases. But if you're watching these videos and you have any information on any of the stories, the truth behind the stories, please feel free to reach out and let me know, and we'll do follow-ups on anything I can discover. And I'm going to keep researching them because it's very interesting. So the best place to probably do that would be on the Facebook page for Billington Sea Monster. Just search Billington Sea Monster. If you look up Joseph R. Chandler, you're not going to find him remembered for any of what we'll call his literary works. For any of his literary pursuits. If you look him up, you're not going to find much information on him at all, really. Wikipedia basically just remembers him as an editor and a congressman. In 1822 in Philadelphia, he became the editor for the United States Gazette. And this is very interesting to me because also in 1822, the very first issue of the Old Colony Memorial came out. Volume 1, Issue 1 of the Old Colony Memorial was printed on May 4th, 1822. And whose story appeared? Whose very first spooky story appeared in this issue? Joseph Chandler's. So I'm very interested in the relationship with between him and the Old Colony Memorial, because he was down in Philadelphia. Now, his stories do seem to have been very popular in his time, because I found them reprinted over and over in various publications for probably the next 20 or 30 years. So I would say that he could have been a really, really big influence on writers of American horror stories, American ghost stories, American folklore and legends of that time period, because these stories were reprinted all across the country. I'm going to have to put the cat down. Hold on. You gotta get down. Reprinted all across the country. And I would personally like to believe he could have been an influence to Edgar Allan Poe. Now, I know that might seem like a bit of a stretch, but Poe did actually know who Joseph R. Chandler was, because Chandler wrote a really lengthy review about Poe's editing skills and a little bit about the fall of the House of Usher. He wrote this in 1839, and we know that Poe actually read this review because Poe wrote to his friend about it, and he was very pleased with the review. So he did know who Chandler was. So Chandler was writing at the same time Washington Irving was writing. Legend of Sleepy Hollow was written in 1820, and Chandler's first story was published in 1822. And if you've ever read The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, it's not actually that scary. Whereas Chandler's stories, well, they're super atmospheric, and they're just great. I can't wait for you to hear them. So I thought I had found all of Chandler's stories, and then I found one more. And it is his absolute best one, I think. I really love that one, and I'm going to be saving that one for Halloween weekend. That'll be the last one. But what was interesting is he always writes these really long introductions, and in this introduction it was almost like he was speaking to me from the past, because I had been reading all these stories and thinking, how is he not remembered, locally at least, for all these great stories? You would think we would know him, and know these stories, because they're part of our history. And it was making me feel a little sad, and it was like, he knew this. He even wrote about it in the introduction, and he said, "In sketching these remarks upon the history of my country's superstitions, it has occurred as a very natural though unexpected consequence that the long slumbering belief of other sections of the Union are revived in the recollection of some demi-antiquary like myself and my unpresuming numbers. Like the misdirected shot of an unpracticed sportsman has not only startled my own game, but raised every owl and rook that has been perched for years in quiet in this obscurity of their own uselessness." And then he goes on to say, "I know I am performing an unprofitable office to myself in opening stores from which successive novelists will draw without thanks to the humble author." So I just want us to remember him and be thankful for him and the stories he's given to us. And I want us to remember these really great stories. So I hope you will check back each week in October for a new story. Part 2 of this first episode will be tomorrow or Sunday. So just check back. And I hope to see you then. Thanks for watching.
If you see this ghoul, play it cool.